Welcome to video 2. Let's look at the objective for this video. In this video, we're going to discuss the more popular topologies of generic strategies and the various HRM practices associated with each. So this is where you'll be focusing on. We're going to zoom in on this. You ready? All right, let's begin. There are 5 major components that we have to consider in strategy formulation. And the strategic management process includes mission, goals, external and internal analysis, and strategic choice. Mission is a statement of the organization's reason for being. It usually specifies the customer served, the needs satisfied, and or the values received by the customers, and possibly even the technology that's being used. It's saying, why are we in business? Why are we open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? Why are we open 9 to 5? Why are we doing this? Why are we coming in here? Why? That's what the mission states. Your goals are what you're hoping to achieve in the medium, in that whatever element that you're using. If you're having an online business or brick and mortar or whatever the case may be, and is looking to that long-term future, the goals are going to reflect how the mission will be operationalized. External analysis consists of examining your organization's operating environment, and you're doing this to identify the strategic opportunities and the threats. Remember, when you're doing a SWOT analysis, opportunities and threats are always external, and your strengths and weaknesses are always internal. So an example of an opportunities are customer markets that are not being served, technological advances that can aid the company, and labor pools that have not been tapped. Some threats could be potential labor shortages or new competitors entering the market, pending legislation that might adversely affect the company, and competitors' technological innovations. When we're doing an internal analysis, you're attempting to identify your strengths and weaknesses, and you're focusing on the quantity and quality of resources available to the organization. That could be financial, capital, technological, and human resources. Organizations have to accurately assess each resource to decide whether it is a strength or a weakness. With strategic choice, it's your organization's strategy, and it describes the way the organization will attempt to fulfill its mission and achieve long-term goals. So those are the 5 major components. Here's figure 2.5, and we're seeing the 5 major components and how they're relevant to strategy formulation. And you can see that visual blend in, right? So how they all tie into each other to then finally reach the choice that you're going to run with. Table 2.2 shows an example of a SWOT analysis, and this is for Google Inc. External analysis and internal analysis combined constitute what has been called SWOT: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And it is a HRM's role, right? An HR manager's role is to keep close tabs on the external environment for human resource related opportunities and threats, especially those that are directly related to the HRM function, which could be potential labor shortages, competitor wage rates, government regulations that are affecting employment. And it's important that all people-related business issues are identified in the HRM function to be considered during strategy formulation. An analysis of your company's internal strengths and weaknesses also require input from the HRM function. A company's failure to consider the strengths and weaknesses of its workforce may result in choosing strategies that just aren't capable of pursuing. You just can't pursue them. So let's look at Google's. Their strengths: they were expanding liquidity, operational efficiency, broad range of service portfolio. Their weaknesses: they had issues with Chinese government, dependence on advertising segment, losses at YouTube, Some opportunities: a growing demand for online video, growth in the internet advertising market. They have an inorganic growth. Threats: weak economic outlook, invalid clicks, and the Microsoft Yahoo deal. That's a threat to Google. So this is how we do this. And as I always tell students and clients, when you're doing a SWOT on yourself, and how I just mentioned about looking at the strengths and weaknesses of your employees, the only way for you to do that is to have your employees do individual SWOTs on themselves, and you combine that data to analyze so that you can then get a fluid and very detailed analysis of the strengths and weaknesses of your workforce. When we're looking at strategy implementation, after an organization has chosen that strategy, it has to then execute it. And it has to make it come to life in the day-to-day workings. And there's 5 important variables to determine the success in strategy implementation. Organizational structure and task design, the selection, training, and development of people, reward systems, and the types of information and information systems. The strategy a company pursues dictates certain HR needs. For a company to have a good strategy foundation, certain tasks must be accomplished in pursuit of the company's goals, and individuals, they have to be able to possess certain skills to perform those tasks. And those individuals must be motivated to perform their skills effectively. So all of these things are invaluable to the process. Here's figure 2.6. And it presents the variables that determine success in strategy implementation. We see organizational structure, task design, selection, training, and development of people, and reward systems. We see types of information and information systems. And HRM has primary responsibility for tasks, people, and reward systems, and can directly affect structure and information and decision processes. So you see where the HRM can come into play. You experience organizational culture whenever you go shopping at a store, whenever you have dinner at a restaurant, or you stay in a hotel. The interactions you have with the employees in these settings reflect the values and beliefs regarding how the organization wants to deal with you, the customer, because culture helps define how the firm, how the organization interacts with their customers. And when cultural values align with the customer value, the firm has a better chance of actually delivering that customer value. In addition, culture serves as the conduit to help attract and retain the right people for these capabilities, as well as guide their behavior to help maximally deliver the customer value. We're looking at talent. And more recent attempts to link HR to strategy have focused on integrating the strategy capabilities in people through an understanding that the value chain of an organization. This entails identifying where a firm seeks to create the greatest value and the talent necessary to do so. And the first step for decision makers is to determine where in the value chain they seek to create the most value for customers. Next, because the capabilities are made up of, a combination of people and systems and processes, organizations need to identify which key talent pools, whether it's jobs or job families, must be world-class in order to build or maintain that capability. I want you to note that while all employees are inherently valuable and their performance is necessary for the organization to succeed, certain employees provide more strategic value. It's just an is. The value chain is a model that breaks up all of the different parts of the organization into a variety of capabilities, such as research and development, supply chain, manufacturing, distribution, and service. We see all of these in figure 2.7 on your screen. And you can see the key that all of these things that tie into the key talent and the various business processes. It's really, really important that this is an intentional process that you are focused on, and HR management must be involved in these elements. We're looking further into talent and we're looking at vertical alignment. This means that the HR practices and processes are aimed at addressing the strategic needs of the business. The link between strategy and HR practices is primarily through people. HR management function implements strategy through getting the right talent and supporting the right culture. So we see there's a link primarily through people, and we see the job analysis and design, recruitment, selection systems, training and development programs, performance management systems, reward systems, labor relation programs. You see those links? So here in figure 2.9, what we're looking at is the HRM function that implements strategy through administering HRM practices. We see the job analysis and design, recruitment, selection systems, training and development programs, performance management systems, reward systems, and labor relations programs. Now, the HRM function can be thought of as having 6 menus of HRM practices, from which companies can choose the ones most appropriate for implementing their strategy. And each of these menus refers to a particular function. There's a functional area of HRM, job analysis, and design. You see the recruitment and selection, training and development, performance management, pay structure, incentives, and benefits. And then we have labor and employee relations. This slide right here, as when we're looking at job analysis and job design, companies produce a given product or service, or a set of products or services, and the manufacture of these products requires that a number of tasks be performed, and these tasks are grouped together to form jobs. In general, jobs can vary from having a narrow range of tasks, which most of which are simplified and require a limited range of skills, or they can have a broad array of complex tasks that are requiring multiple skills in order to get those tasks accomplished. When we're looking at the various practices of recruitment and selection, companies engaging in different strategies need different types and numbers of employees. And that's where the strategy a company is pursuing will have a direct impact on the types of employees that it seeks to recruit and select. This is why just hiring people because they have heartbeats is not sufficient. You really need to be intentional with this relationship that you're forming. And changes in strategies often require changes in the types, levels, and mixes of skills. Thus, the acquisition of strategy-related skills is an essential element of the implementation of strategy. So we see training as the planned effort to facilitate the learning of job-related knowledge, skills, and behavior. And development is where we go about acquiring those and in the ways in which they improve our ability to meet the challenges of the jobs or that are existing or don't yet exist. When we're looking at performance management, it's used to ensure that employees' activities and outcomes are congruent with the organization's objectives. It entails specifying those activities and outcomes that will result in the organization successfully implementing the strategy. The pay system has an important role in implementing strategies. First, a high level of pay and or benefits relative to that of competitors can ensure that the company attracts and retains high quality employees, but this might have a negative impact on the company's overall labor cost. Second, by tying pay to performance, the company can elicit specific activities and levels of performance from employees. The approach a company takes in making these decisions can result in it either successfully achieving its short and long-term goals or ceasing to exist. In addition to the relationship between HR practices and performance in general, in today's fast-changing environment, businesses have to change quickly, requiring changes in employee skills and behaviors. So you're looking at all these things as employees as assets or expenses. How much should employees participate in decision making? What rights do they have? And what responsibility does the company have to employees? All of those are factored in. So this is the end of video 2. Go and get video 3, and I'll see you in a little bit.